Hey guys, Carl, sir. So I wanted to talk to you guys about Arang today. I've been trying to decide on what I want to do next as far as videos are concerned. I've got quite a few out there. I've been spending a lot of my time growing and learning in the game instead of making more videos. I honestly don't always feel like I have enough experience to do this. Sometimes I feel like I should be spending more time, learning the game better myself before I go on and try to help too many other people. I mean, obviously, I know the early game pretty well, but by the time you hit like mid game, it starts to become a little fuzzier. I don't know all the champs. I don't know, especially the light darks and so on and so on. But I'm gonna try to help with what I can. Today's goal is to talk about Arang. She is a monster of a free to play champion. Basically, what she's going to do is deliver a ton of damage for you. You can see this is my GB10 speedrun team right here. Arang works perfect in this team comp, but she also works in earlier versions. You don't even have to be in a speed comp to make her work. Something like a Lucian, right? Like you have to be a little careful when you're using him, especially early on. Because if you're using him early on, you need a decent rune quality or he just won't perform. I mean, it just kind of sucks, but it is what it is. And I don't know if you just saw or not, but one of the abilities that she throws lands debuffs. So you can see this is not 100% successful, right? Like that for me just lost. And if all my, damage champs were a little stronger, then I would have a little bit of a higher success rate. But this team, I think, has hit about 28 seconds at a fastest run. And I only built a Rang semi recently, and let me tell you, I'm kicking myself for not having done this earlier. I have not made her work super successfully in PvP yet, and she really only works in GB10. She does not work in DB. The big reason there is just because she's a wind unit and it's a fire, boss. So, and honestly, she sort of relies on an attack break to do a lot of her defense break to do a lot of her damage. I mean, she still hits well without it, but I mean, to be fair, most damage dealers kind of, rely on that because it reduces their defense by 70%. So that's a pretty gnarly hit. Yeah, that was 72k right there. And I don't think mine is any superb build or anything. I think she's decent. She's very slow. You don't need a lot of speed for GB10. So the next thing I'm going to show you is her runes. That was basically just her running it. And now we're going to talk a little more in depth about one, how to build her, and two, why she works. So the second one first. She does have one bad quality for GB10. She has multi-hit. Her first attack hits 3 times. Her second attack only hits once. But then her third attack, I think, also hits twice. I don't know. It only says once, but I don't know. Yeah, I think it's only once. Never mind. So she has multi-hit on her basic attack, which is not great. That is really her only downside when it comes to this, though. She throws in tons of damage, but then debuffs out the wazoo. Her S3 can decrease attack speed, attack power, and defense break the enemy. All 3. And if you read the last half of that, the damage dealt to enemies under harmful effects will be increased by 50%. So if you use this ability, Sweet Talk, while the person already has like a defense break, for instance, or a brand on them, it will do an extra 50% damage just because that defense break is there. And then it may also drop all 3 of these debuffs. Attack speed, attack power, and defense break are like the 3 most important debuffs in GB10. I mean, even speedrun teams often have some pairings of debuffs thrown in. So her S2, I really do like her S2, but it's not as crazy as her S3 in my opinion. This just helps her be a little more consistent. Basically what it does is it recovers however much damage it does, it heals her that much. But what really makes it nice is that it becomes an excessive HP. The excessive HP becomes a shield, right? So if she, overheal by 3k, she gets a little 3k shield. I mean, that's just pretty nice. Now, that's only from this skill, so don't think that you can throw Vamp on her and this will always be an effect. It's not a passive effect. It is an active effect of her secondary skill. So when you use that skill, it will give her a shield or, just heal her. It does quite a bit of damage, just like the rest of her. So you've got a pretty good chance that it's at least going to top her off, if not give her a little shield on top. This is the other thing that makes her just a little bit better. Right here, even though it has multi-hit, which is not great. Each strike has a 15% chance of increasing the enemy's chance of landing a glancing hit. So, not only does she have all the other debuffs, the most important ones in my opinion for GB10, she has one, in a minor degree, that can help a lot. It's only 15%, but when you max her out, it becomes 35%, and she hits 3 times, so that's 15% every hit. So, I mean, you're talking about a very, very good... By the third hit, I mean, if you want to go statistics, that should be like a 56% chance that you roll a 1 to 15 at least once out of 3 times. I'd have to write that all down and do that math out. Let me tell you, that's not happening. But even as a base of 15%, you have a pretty good chance of hitting it. But this hits pretty well too. I mean, it's not like this is a soft hitting skill either. It still hits pretty well. And you can see mine's not even fully skilled out. This one's not skilled out at all. This one, I got really lucky in her sweet talk, basically max skilled first. You don't get that very often. Most of my monsters don't get an S3 max first. I think there's some funny math on that one as far as their server side's concerned, but you know, what are we gonna do? So you can see my overall stats here. I think speed for her is very unimportant. Basically, she's gonna hit once to twice. If you have her as slow as I do believe she'll only get 2 hits. I think the base speed for the GB10 boss is like 55 or 58, somewhere in that area, somewhere between like 50 to 70. It's tough to say, but it's very, very low. You could rune her with absolutely 0 speed and she'd still get 1 hit. Ideally, though, I think you want to give her enough speed to get 2 hits. So even though I have plus 14, I would try to aim for like plus 23, 25. That should get you clear in the zone of getting 2 hits almost every time. Outside of that, you really just have to balance out her attack and her crit damage. And obviously, pretty much every damage dealer, you want to run 70 to 85% crit rate. Like, that's anywhere in that zone is basically perfect. There's very little reason to go above 85. It's not terrible to go above 85%. It's just that it starts to become lost stat because of buff advantage or elemental advantage. So like Arang will have elemental advantage in GB10. So even though she has 73 crit rate in GB10, she'll have 88. And that makes her critting a whole lot more often. So I would get her a little more crit rate than what I have right now if I could, but she doesn't have my best runes, and I've focused more on crit damage than I have anything else. So basically, the very standard attack, crit damage, attack build, honestly, and as you can see, this is even a 5-star attack rune. I mean, this is, and I am running Fatal. I think Fatal works perfectly fine. I'll go through my runes one by one. With her, you can see these runes are not like crazy strong or anything. She's got a couple of pretty decent runes, but that's it. I mean, these are definitely, you can get these. I only threw this one on her as a, I remember now. I needed a little more crit rate, so this was the winner. And the speed didn't hurt. But as you can see, very little HP, very little defense. All the resistance that's there is basically there on accident. I could swap those res subs out, but I don't think any of the runes that she has right now are worthy of those resources for me. Those resources require, you know, hard grinding, and so you want to save those like grinds and gems for runes that actually matter. Pretty much none of her runes to me are worth it. I mean, other than maybe if I find myself with a lot of grinds or something, maybe I will, but overall I just wouldn't. So that's basically it for Arang. There is another really good GB10 free-to-play monster that you can get through Fusion. His name is... I'm not telling you. Ha ha ha. Just kidding. So if you just go check him out, he's the wind vamp dude. I now can't remember his name. Argon, I think is what it is. I don't plan on doing a video on him yet, but that's just because I've never made him. I don't want to do a video on a monster that I've never played. It makes it feel very ungenuine to me. Like, it doesn't feel like I'm giving you my honest opinion anymore. So, you know, I just don't want to do that. So I will be doing it with monsters that have at least picked up on an alt or something. Or if I can get people to, well, people do lend me their accounts. So if, you know, if someone lends me an account and I'm able to play around with it a little bit, then I might show it at some time. But that's it. Basically, she's very easy to rune. Just run Fatal Blade or Fatal whatever. Try to get her 70% crit rate. You don't need much speed. Make sure she goes slow. I mean, you could make her a little faster than mine if you want. If you made her faster than the Lucians, then her S3 would have a chance to defense break. before they did their in case their S3 didn't go off as well before they had a chance to attack. Um, so I guess it would probably be better if she was a little faster than them, but I don't know that it's actually that important. I mean, honestly, yeah, I guess it would be good. Oh, it's tough. See, the thing is, when you're doing these speed runs, turn order sounds simple at first, but when you get into the actual game, turn order doesn't always turn out exactly like in theory. It sounds like if I made her faster than the Lucians, then she would throw her S3 sometimes, and then she would defense break land sometimes, and then they would get extra damage because of that sometimes. But the problem is that until you've actually tried it, sometimes so like right here, maybe by doing that switch up, I slow down the first wave because now she goes before them. So then it would go Galleon, her, Lucian, or Galleon, her, and then my, wind chicken. And it may slow down the run just because of that. I mean, so it's just really tough. The speeds, you just got to play with your teams. Honestly, a more consistent team I think is more important than a super speed team. So if you can't make a speed team sub like 50 seconds, very high success rate, I would say just stick with like a 1 minute to 1 minute 20 team. There's really no reason to try to irk out those last like 10 seconds if you're going to lose like 20% success. I mean, it's just not worth your time or your resources, honestly. At least that's my opinion anyway. So that's it for Arang. I'm done. I'm cutting it. You guys have a great one, and I'll see you guys in the next video, which will not be about Argon. I think it's going to be about, I don't know. We'll find out.